Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and review a fragrance from a house that I've never reviewed before. The house is called The Different Company, and the fragrance we're going to touch upon today is called Bergamote. Now this fragrance was released in 2003. The parfumé of this fragrance is Jean-Claude Ellena. For many of you who are not familiar with his work, he's actually made one of my most favorite fragrances at this point, and that's Terre de Hermès Eau Fraîche, the Fraîche version, and he's made actually a ton of other fragrances, so he comes very highly regarded in my mind as far as a parfumé. So I was really excited to try this one out, coupled with the fact that my favorite fragrance, Bergamote 22, is primarily bergamot and it's done in a different way. And so I was just really excited to actually get my hands on this fragrance. So with that, let's just actually start with the bottle design. The Different Company has a very simple bottle design. I actually like the bottle design, but it's not going to really rile anyone up. It's not, really to write anything home about. It's just a very simple, plain design, and I really like it. Now, it comes in two main sizes, a 100 milliliter and a 50 milliliter. The 100 milliliter is going to run you roughly $175 retail, and the 50 milliliter is going to run you roughly, I believe it was, man, I forgot how much it was. I think it was 130 or 120. 120, I think it was. Yes. So just keep that in mind when purchasing this fragrance. It is a niche fragrance, and it is something that is a little bit more on the expensive line in terms of price. Now, let's just go ahead and dive right into the scent. The scent of this fragrance, the notes are listed on the screen. The biggest takeaway for this sucker is when I initially smelled it, I was actually taken aback. It was not, I definitely know what bergamot smells like, and this smells like bergamot to a T. It's a very, I guess you could say, it's a very green, it's a very citrusy, but at the same time it's a bitter citrus. It's not a sweet citrus that most people are accustomed to. And the way that it comes off very green, almost a little bit airy at the same time, but at the same time crisp. It's like green, sharp, airy, crisp. And it comes off as very, soapy, at least in that part. Almost a bit neroli-ish, but not truly. Neroli is a little bit sweeter on this, but this is truly bergamot, truly a bitter citrus to the T. Now the other note that comes around this fragrance that begins to surface a little bit more is this ginger note. The ginger note comes in with this fragrance, and it's really of note that it kind of gives it a gingery vibe to it, but it remains this bitter citrusy green smell that remains throughout the fragrance's actual lifetime. Now, two downsides to this fragrance: it doesn't have a really good sillage, and it doesn't really have really good projection. It's more of a skin scent, which actually makes it perfect for work scenarios and casual scenarios where you don't want to be, loud and shouting and projecting, but at the same time, keep that in mind. This is not a projection monster. This is not something that's going to go out and grab people. But with the performance, it actually does, on my skin at least, have good longevity. It lasts me a good at least 6 to 8 hours on my skin. So, it does pretty well on my skin in terms of longevity. Now, season-wise, I think this is good spring and summer fragrance. When you have the heat behind you and when you've got something to kind of lift it up, it does a little bit better. And also like I said, the occasion. This is a casual work fragrance, right? So if I'm going to go ahead and give this fragrance a rating, I give this fragrance a rating a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, why does it get a 3 out of 5 stars? Let's begin. First, for scent, it's going to get half of a star. Why? Well, I'm a little bit disappointed in the scent, and normally I love Jean-Claude Ellena scents, and this one, I'm just kind of like meh on the fence. It definitely doesn't smell bad. It's very clean smelling scent, but at the same time, it's not wowing me. It's not knocking me off my socks. And I learned a little bit about myself with this fragrance. I don't like that bitter citrus smell, and that's where it's coming from in this. But at the same time, even though it's not knocking me off my socks, it still is, and I would say an average smelling scent. Performance-wise, it gets half of a star as well too on this route. Why? Well, it doesn't project really well, and it doesn't really leave a good sillage or wake behind you. But it does have good longevity on my skin, so it gets half of a star out of that. Keep that in mind. This is not going to be something that's going to be projecting like crazy, but it's going to last on your skin a decent amount of time, a pretty good amount of time actually. Uniqueness. This one does get a full star for uniqueness. I think this is a very unique fragrance in its own right. That It does have kind of like this Jean-Claude Helena vibe to it, for those of you who know what that is. But at the same time, it doesn't really smell like other fragrances, which is very pleasant and very nice. Value, I'm going to give it half of a star. Now, it gets value. I do like the presentation from the different company, but you know, for, you know, we're talking about 175 pushing upward towards 200 for a scent that really is, that people aren't going to smell you. You really have to like this fragrance, number one, and two, it's really it kind of feels more like a fragrance that you would wear as a safe scent. And purchasing a safe set upwards of $200 isn't something that I'm really down with, but you might be perfectly fine. So give this one a try on your skin, see how it is on yours. This may be a rock star. I've definitely met some people, actually one person, who thought that this was an absolute drop-dead gorgeous fragrance, and that's why he actually had me try it. All right? And finally, we've got compliments. This gets a half of a star for compliments as well, too. Why does it get half of a star? Well, simply, when they smell it, people actually do like this. It's a very pleasant smell, and it's also why I suggest it for work. But at the same time, when they smell it is really the key. Is really the key word here. When. Most of the time, they're not going to smell you, and that's really where this fragrance is hurting as far as compliments go. So its performance hurts its compliments in this case. All right. So that's the 3 out of 5 stars. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free, send me a message, leave me a note, do whatever you got to do. Thank you guys, take care of yourselves, and you guys have a great day.